produced and directed by Anton M. Leader. Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations. And now Autolite presents Gene Kelly and Ethel Barrymore in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
My roomer, Mr. Armstrong, tried to warn me that morning he left on his business trip. I remember we were just finishing breakfast and he was rather in a hurry.
I don't care what you say, Mrs. Gillis. I just plain don't like it. You're alone here in the house all day, there are no close neighbors, and after all, you know nothing about the man.
Good gracious, Mr. Armstrong, you think I was a pretty young thing of 20 to hear you tell it?
And another thing, it seems very strange to me that a young man should be job hunting from door to door this day and age, while there are plenty of jobs to be had.
That's just why it's so difficult to find help these days. You're a worrying wart, Mr. Armstrong. Now that I've found someone to do my heavy work, I'm not going to let your silly notions change my mind.
Well, all the same, though, I'm not leaving the house this morning till I get a look at the guy.
I remember I kept worrying about poor Mr. Armstrong missing his train, because it was getting to be 9 o'clock. He dried the breakfast dishes for me. As he talked, he kept looking out the window toward the long driveway.
Hey, here he comes. But I guess I needn't have worried.
Mr. Armstrong was smiling, but he seen my young man who was coming up the driveway, and I smiled too. Even I had forgotten what a meek, harmless-looking lad he was. Why, he would hardly be called a man at all, I thought.
So that's the critter who's been causing me all this mental anguish.
There, you see, you and your silly ideas.
Well, the little guy is not strong enough to keep a regular job, I suppose.
Why, I believe Sarah's getting some of your foolish notions, Mr. Armstrong.
Now, Sarah, I'm sorry that we made you nervous about it. Why, if you could see the guy...
He'll hear you. Good morning, there. I've been expecting you. This is my roomer, Mr. Armstrong. I don't believe you told me your name.
I'm Howard Wilton, ma'am. Hello, Howard. How are you? I'm glad you come. I know you'll be a great help to Mrs. Gillis here, and you'll be company, too. Well, I'm off, Mrs. Gillis. Take care of yourself. I don't think you'll have much trouble.
I don't think your dog likes me, Mrs. Gillis.
Of course she does. Just getting a little old and peevish.
Oh.
Come along now, Howard. I'll show you where to hang your coat.
Oh, yes. I always like to hang my coat up.
He followed me into the closet storeroom at the back of the house. And I handed him a clothes hanger and a rough, heavy apron, which I kept for cleaning help.
Is this apron clean, Mrs. Gillis?
Why, of course it's clean. No one's worn it since it was laundered last.
There are spots on it. See?
Spots? Here, let me look. Why, that's paint. No dirt and dried paint, son.
You don't mind. I'd rather not wear it.
What will you wear, then? You didn't bring other clothes.
I'm a neat worker, Mrs. Gillis. You needn't worry about my clothes.
I turned, and the light hitting his face from a small window made him look so different. I was startled for a moment, and then I thought, you're a silly old woman, Mrs. Gillis. And then I smiled.
Are you laughing at me, Mrs. Gillis?
Oh, no, son. I was laughing at myself. Come along. Let's get started now. He'd only been at the den floor a short time when I heard him walk back to the closet storeroom. Can I help you, son?
I'm going after my coat, Mrs. Gillis. I don't like it being out there in the storeroom. It's a breeding place for moths, you know.
No, son. It takes longer than that for moths to do any damage.
Mrs. Gillis, perhaps you won't think it's quite so amusing when I tell you that it's my best and only coat.
I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, lad. Where would you like to put it? In the kitchen, perhaps?
No, the cooking fumes wouldn't be good for it. I'll take it right in the den with me. That is, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead, Howard.
If you don't mind.
Suddenly I was thankful that there was a phone. He was such a peculiar boy. I wasn't really alarmed. Not then, I wasn't. Still, it was good to know the phone was there and that old Sarah was still in the kitchen asleep. I went on about my own work that morning. For several times I went into the den to have a look at him. He wasn't doing much, I could see that. He seemed to keep polishing one small square in the corner of the room. Is there anything you need, Howard? Howard?
I won't be spied upon, Mrs. Gillis. I won't put up with that.
See here, lad, I think you must have gotten off on the wrong foot. I'm not spying on you.
Now, why do you keep popping in like that? Would you like me to go faster? Would you like me to spill out my life's blood for you here on the floor? Is that what you're after?
Howard, are you well? Are you well enough to work?
Of course I'm well. Oh, you quit bothering and pestering and questioning me. Is it too much to ask?
Howard, son, I'm interested in young men. I have 2 boys of my own. They were in the service. See that spill on the desk there? He was a Marine. And on the table there, that's Dennis. He was in the infantry.
So, that's why you hate me. I see it all now.
Hate you? Why, whatever...
Yes, you hate me. I could tell it the moment I walked into your house this morning.
But Howard...
You hate me because I'm young and I wasn't in the service like your boy.
Why, it never occurred to me. You must know I was grateful when you came looking for work.
You resented me. The only reason you have me here is to work my life's blood away, to punish me for not being in the service. Just because your sons were in the service and I wasn't.
Son, you're ill. Let's put the work away now, and I'll make you a cup of tea.
Oh, you don't want me to do the job. Is that it? You're like the arm. There was a job to be done, and they wouldn't let me in. Now you'd like me to stop in the middle of this.
I only want you to do whatever will make you feel better.
Leave me alone, then.
Very well.
Mrs. Gillis?
Yes?
I'll tell you why I wasn't in the army. If you insist.
I don't insist at all, Howard.
If you must know, I'll tell you. They said there was something wrong with my mind.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Mr. Gene Kelly co-starring with Miss Ethel Barrymore in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Miss Ethel Barrymore and Mr. Gene Kelly in To Find Help. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I just thought maybe you'd like to know, Mrs. Gillis. They said there was something wrong with my mind.
The first thing that I thought of when I reached the hallway was the phone. For it was in the den with Howard. I ran quickly to the back door, but it was locked, and the key wasn't in its usual place. The front door was locked too, and I heard it crash. It came from the den. I rushed in to find Howard peacefully polishing away at the same spot. He hadn't moved an inch. He didn't look up at me. Then I saw the phone which had fallen to the floor beside him. But it hadn't just fallen. The wires had been torn out of the wall.
The phone, Mrs. Gillis, it fell.
But the wires...
I suppose you think I ruined your phone.
The wires...
That happened when it fell to the floor.
It
It happened when it fell to the floor. I don't suppose you'll be able to use it anymore. Not for a while, anyway.
No, I don't suppose I will. Sarah! Here! Sarah! Sarah!
Mrs. Gillis,
Yes,
are you looking for your dog?
yes, I haven't seen her all morning. She was in the kitchen.
Well, she's not there any longer.
I know. Where is she, Howard?
Where is she?
Yes, where is she?
She's gone.
Gone. If you've harmed her...
She didn't like me, you know.
See here, I put up with enough. You tell me where my dog is,
For
or...
what, Miss Gillis?
I'll...
To do what, Mrs. Gillis? What will you do?
Sarah!
She's gone, Mrs. Gillis. I told you that.
You harmed my dog.
Have I?
You killed her. Poor old Sarah, who never hurt a thing.
She will hurt me.
You're bad, Howard.
afraid to kill?
Only a coward would kill a poor old girl.
If I were a coward, I'd be afraid of you. And I'm not afraid of you.
You let me out of here.
I have strong hands, Mrs. Gillis. My fingers are like steel.
I've never harmed you.
No. And Sarah didn't either, but she would have if I hadn't